What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Comment Writers. We are here to talk about Kamen Rider Gotchard episode 29 because we are a Kamen Rider review podcast. I'm your host, Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined as always by my good friend, Toby Tobes. How's it going, Toby?
Josh, this might be the last time we talk since the full eclipse is coming next Monday. How do you feel about this?
That is true. It is next Monday. Yeah. So here's the roller coaster that my eclipse emotions have gone on. Okay.
All right, let me know because that's obviously what we're talking about right now.
So here we go. When I first heard that the eclipse was happening, and at first it was just like, oh, okay, it's fine, it's fine. Like, because I remember the last time there was an eclipse around here, like I was working in an office at that point instead of working from home, but we all went outside. We had our stupid little eclipse glasses. We looked up at the sun. We were like, oh wow, okay, that was an eclipse, and then we went back inside and kept working. It wasn't really the huge event, right? Um, so I was thinking about it like that. I was like, okay, well, whatever. The sky will get dark for a second and then it'll be over. But then I started hearing everyone else like freak out about it. Like everyone. So I'm in the path of totality here.
I was going to
Um,
ask you.
yeah, I am smack dab apparently in the middle of the path of totality, and everyone around me is going insane about this stupid eclipse. Apparently everyone is worried about like complete and utter gridlock on all of the roads. They're saying you won't be able to get anywhere on the day of the eclipse because everyone will be driving from out of town to get into the path here. Um, my daughter's school is closed that day for that reason because they didn't think they'd be able to get to and from school. And people are just losing their minds. So that got me to be like, well, maybe I should care about this stupid eclipse more than I'm caring about it. So then I got to a point where like, okay, maybe I'm a little excited because then I was also like, I'd read some comments on Reddit and people were talking about like in my head, the way I interpreted the comment was like, oh my God, this is like once in a lifetime. You'll never see another eclipse like this. I'm like, oh, maybe it's more important than I think it is. But then I Googled, and I mean, I don't know, it's like once every 20 years or so. So it's like it's pretty infrequent, but it's like not that infrequent, right? Like there are eclipses like every year. Like you just got
I
to be in the right
heard
part of the world.
the next one like this. I also heard 55 years. And I mean, either way, it doesn't really matter. Like, I think if there's another insane one like this, I should be close to being able to see it at some point. Uh, you should be able to as well.
Yeah.
But like, so with my thing, we were debating heading. I'm like 4 hours south of the totality path,
Right.
so we were
Right.
debating going to I guess it's like a vacation general area in New York. It's called the Finger Lakes. It's like a big wine country vibe, bunch of
Uh
little
huh.
lakes. People do hipster stuff up there. So we're debating going up there, and everything is basically booked. The weather in the Northeast for the first time ever is supposed to be like extra good most places, but shitty where in like the New York area because snow and Buffalo and all that nonsense. So, but I've been going back and forth on it because everyone seems to be freaking out about this as
Yeah.
much as like Y2K of like, wow, the whole world's gonna go to shit. The computers are gonna turn down. It causes electromagnetic blockages when the sun flares, and all I can picture is like there's tons of like I guess we'll call them eclipse parties up in that area, or like people are like kind of like how you said everyone's gonna be gridlocked up by you because everyone wants to go in the path. It Part of me says it seems crazy to put myself in an area where I know people are going to be actively losing their minds,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then if I actually wanted to leave, I probably wouldn't be able to leave because you have to wait for all the other cars, all the people, whatever, to get on the highways, go places, whatever. Like it
Yeah.
seems like fun and like a nightmare at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. I can tell you that if we were not living in the path of totality, we would not be traveling to it because, yeah, that sounds like an utter nightmare because yeah, everyone trying to descend upon a place for the same like 4 minute window, essentially. And then everyone would be trying to leave at the same time. That sounds crazy. And
It's
just,
it's places not like built for it. Like
yeah,
if everyone
exactly.
was like, "Oh, we're going to the baseball stadium. We're all going to sit here and watch it and hand out goggles." Like that vibe, I kind of get, but it's basically if you live in random X town, the sun's going out there, and everyone wants to be there now.
Yeah. 'Cause, like, I don't live in a small town, like, I live in a suburb of Indianapolis, right? Which is, Indy's pretty big and, like, my town is, like is not small. Um, but it's not equipped really for, like, as many
What's
people
about to
as
happen?
supposedly are coming, yeah. So we'll see what happens. But at least I'm at home. So, like, nothing, like, insane, like, we can't get trapped, and unable to get home because I will be at home, right? So that'll be nice. Uh, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be exciting. I when I in the height of me being like, well, maybe I should care about this. I started looking up like, okay, well, how do I photograph this thing? If I should care about it, like maybe I should figure out how I can take a picture of it. And then I got into that research a little bit, and it's like this is way more complicated than I care to actually do, and I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna look at it with my eyeballs and then call
If
that a day.
what, especially to like if you want a good picture of the eclipse, just wait until someone posts it online.
Just
Like
totally. Yep.
that's actually one of the things where like I don't think it's something you actually need to um like I don't need my own picture of it. I think I'd rather
Yeah.
have a cool picture of it than me having a blurry fake one zoomed in blah 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 thing.
The thing that broke me of it was I saw someone set up and they had the largest zoom lens that I'd ever seen in my entire life. It looked like a telescope, like a giant telescope with a camera attached to the end. And I'm like, well, why would I even bother? Like, yeah, there's no reason. There's nothing that I could do that would be even remotely close to what someone else is doing at the exact same time with the exact same subject.
Well, in the I'm gonna call them the old days. I don't know how it works with the cell phone cameras. I meant to look it up at this point. Like my uncle used to be hardcore into photography, and I know that because of how many mirrors are in a camera, at least like old school cameras, when you take a picture of the sun or an eclipse, it's not built for that much brightness, sunlight, whatever, bouncing around inside the mirrors. And it's
Yep.
good for like frying components. So I would assume a cell phone's close to the same way. Like
Yep,
it's
it
at
works
least
it works just like your eyeballs. You can't look right at the sun, even in a partial eclipse. But you can't point your camera at it. It'll break your camera, it'll break your cell phone. You supposedly can use your cell phone and use a camera during the totality, like the 2 minutes where it is completely eclipsed, but then you have to stop before it is, a sliver of the sun pops out. So it's like super dangerous. Like it's a really, really easy way to probably break your phone or break your fancy camera. But yeah, like if you wanna actually use a real camera and take a picture, you have to get like special filters, like solar filters to put on your camera to make it so you can actually point your camera at the sun and it doesn't break it. And then yeah, you can't look through the viewfinder even because then your eyes would break and it's a whole thing.
yeah. So at Easter, my mom gave us all eclipse classes because that's obviously all the rage, at least
Uh-huh.
around here right now. Of like, hey, get your free eclipse classes. So we all looked into are they real or not, or like are they cheap knockoffs, whatever. And it's crazy because it has an actual like ISO certification number, like the
Uh-huh.
International Standards Organization, and it actually says specifically if you read the ISO for it that it's only that the lenses are only rated for one times magnification for 3 minutes, and anything beyond that, it's actually not rated for, and you're
Oh
like just
wow.
you're taking your own chances. And it's funny because at most I saw the full eclipse part is 4 minutes long,
Yeah.
so you can't watch the whole thing. And I think like it's both smart and crazy that they have to call out like this is literally just made for plain eyesight looking towards this thing. Do not use any sort of magnification or anything else because you will still fry yourself. And then
Totally.
because I need to know things by myself, I put the glasses on at the dinner table and you can't see anything. So I was like, I wonder how I can at least remotely test these. So I turned the flash on my cell phone and held it up to my eye. And you can actually see like the faintest light along with basically the little I guess they're little bulbs that are inside the flash on your phone. You can actually see like just the bulbs basically look off because it's
Oh,
so
that's cool.
dark, but you could see it. So I was all excited, like, wow, look, science. These are
It's
dark as
working.
shit.
You should be rocking those around the house now for
Just
just
slamming it.
picking out the faintest of light, but it's just the brightest bulb you have in your house. Yeah. Well that yeah, I mean my wife was like uber prepared for the eclipse and had the eclipse glasses for us like months ago, like forever ago, because she thought that like, oh, when it gets close to the eclipse, like that you won't be able to find them anywhere because everybody will need them and you won't be able to get them. Which like makes sense because like right, we're just coming off of the pandemic where like, you need toilet paper and you can't get it. So I get that. I get that feeling, but it's been so funny now because you walk into like Meyer by my house and it's just like literally thousands of Eclipse glasses that they haven't sold. Like they are everywhere for like $2 a piece.
Well,
But we
especially too,
we
like
were very prepared.
you have to figure too, like not everyone's gonna be into it or remotely
Yeah,
care. It's like
totally.
it's a weird mix of I don't know how you properly like stock or prep for that because especially the last time we had one a couple years ago. I mean, I would assume the same one you're talking about. We watched it at work, and like six of us passed around one pair of glasses. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, a couple times I just glanced up real quick because I'm not staring at it. I took whatever chance I was going to take.
Uh-huh.
But like, if you just wanted to see it, like I feel like you just would walk outside, you look up when the sun's blacked out, go cool, and walk back in the house.
Yeah, I don't really know what staring at it for like 3 minutes is really gonna get you. It's just gonna be like, okay, yeah, it's
And
still
see,
covered.
the lights on or off.
Yeah, exactly. Lights on or off. I think
But
the
yes, like
coolest thing with an eclipse, what I remember from the last one, is like the fact that it is like it's supposedly daylight, but like it's a little bit darker than normal. Like it's a weird darkness that doesn't just feel like cloudy. It's just like you said, like the light's dimmer than it should be instead of like there's cloud cover. Like that's more fun. It's more fun looking around your surroundings for me
yeah, to
in an
watch the eerie,
eclipse.
look at see the eerie darkness.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And like from where I am, the official internet numbers from like the Eclipse website, NASA, whatever, like we're supposed to be like 88 to 93% of the totality. So we
Uh-huh.
won't see like the whole sun blacked out. You get
Right.
like the crescent moon ish. And that seems like enough for me. Like worst case, if that's the way it plays out here, I'll just stand at my house and watch the sun get a little dark.
Yeah, yeah, watch the crescent moon. I hope that when this happens here, that then I talk to you and I'm like, mind blown. It was worth it. I hope that I'm a convert for like how cool the eclipse is, but I don't really know if I see that coming. Where I took off work because the kid's not in school, so someone's got to take care of her. So I have the day off to prepare for the wonderful eclipse 4 minutes that I'm gonna get here.
Yeah,
It's
so
gonna be great.
basically, I'm warning you now, and everyone can know. Either I go to the crazy eclipse party and we have our conversation Tuesday about the eclipse, or if we don't go, then I can talk to you that night about the eclipse, and the hype will be much more real and
That's
palpable,
true.
I'm sure. Or be like, this is dumb as shit, and then there's nothing to worry about.
I feel like the problem too with driving to the eclipse party thing is it's just a whole lot of people who are way more excited about the eclipse than you are when you get there. Like like
I just
you
don't.
get there and it'll be like, I decided to do this last minute. And everyone else is like, I planned for this for 4 years.
We got matching tattoos. We did all
Yeah.
these things. I like controlled craziness. It's why I can remotely handle my friends and the situations that we all get into. Because
Uh,
like I feel like it's still controlled. I don't. The whole thing of there's hundreds of people, there's thousands of people all in one place, getting wacky about the sun blacking out. Gets in that like to me, it's in that real weird like spooky territory of I hope nothing bad happens in this situation. Like it's
yeah.
not like it's not like the like in Blade when they have the blood rave, like everyone's cool and just dancing, and then all of a sudden like the music changes and the sun goes out and blood starts spraying everywhere and like everyone just starts like murdering each other. That's
Yeah.
my fear.
That's
Some weird shit
totally.
happens. Everyone just gets crazy.
That is my acute fear anytime that I'm in public nowadays, like post pandemic. Like the pandemic kind of broke me about being in public. Where like I can still do it, but I used to go in large crowds with like wild abandon and not even worry about like there's a lot of people here. This could go real bad if anything happened. And now that's like the first thing I think of whenever I'm in a crowd. I'm just like, this could go real south really easy in a whole bunch of different ways. So I don't know. That's probably not good, but that's the person I have become after, a few years of isolation. But I was in a crowd this weekend. I was thinking that same thing. I'm just like, this is a lot of people here. Like any of these people could just start stabbing. I don't know. It seems like it could go real wrong
my
because
my
that's what
only
you
thing
do.
with my only thing with crowds now, and I think it's part of my crazy anxiety stuff, when you're in a place where the noise isn't so much noise as it's a real weird dull like humming droning noise. Like
Yeah,
there's no
a
like
din.
distinct sounds. It's just like
Uh-huh.
a sound that like wobbles. It drives me insane. Like it actually like I can feel myself going crazy and being like, I need to get the hell out of here. And that's what I feel like is gonna happen.
Yeah, I feel you. Feel you. I'm going to see wrestling here coming up soon. Uh, and it's the first time I will have been in a while. And it'll be interesting to see how that racks my nerves or not. Like in a large arena
I'm
or
sure it'll
not,
be fine.
whatever that size of stadium. That's what I'm trying to say. No, wait, is arena bigger than stadium or is stadium bigger than arena?
I think a stadium's
What's
bigger than an arena. I feel like
okay?
arena's closed in, and I feel like stadium's out in the open.
Okay, what's
I don't know.
like no, field house? Where does that fall into this?
That's usually like a college's like activities building, isn't it?
I don't know because we used to in Indy we used to have the it used to be called the Conseco Fieldhouse. I'm not sure what it's called now. Wherever the Pacers play. Uh, let me look up what the name is now because I think the sponsor changed. Now it's the Gainbridge Field House. They call it a field house.
That's pretty
I've
fancy.
never understood why it was a field house
Because the
because
house
it's
for the field.
yeah, but it's a basketball court though. Like you could put other things in it, I guess, but like it's a basketball court. I can see field house if it was like an enclosed like baseball stadium or something. You know,
Just don't know, man.
I don't
I
either.
just
I
don't
don't
know.
either.
Speaking of not knowing, Josh,
Speaking of not knowing, we don't have any emails. I don't know why we don't have any emails. That's we don't have any emails this week, but if you would like to send us one for next week, we would love to receive your missive. Send that over to cast@commonwritersucks.com. Once again, that is cast@commonwritersucks.com. Where should people send the emails, Toby?
I believe it's cast at that's ampersand sign. I
Yep,
think
it is.
Common Rider, the show we watch, sucks. Negative word used to describe things. Period. Com, short for commercial, I think as well.
And to be clear, it isn't Common Writer, the show we watch sucks negative word.com. It's commonwritersucks.com. He was interjecting explanations for why it is commonwritersucks.com. We don't own Common Writer, the show we watch sucks negative word.com. Maybe we should buy it, but we don't own it.
That seems like
We
a bit. Josh, if the world's gonna get destroyed next week, I don't think I should buy that domain. That's open for anybody else.
no,
That's a real useful domain. I'm sure people will be clamoring for that if you want to buy that for yourself. The resale is through the roof for sure. So
totally.
someone should go pick that up. I think.
Yeah. It's right up there with Batman.com as a high resale value.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we shouldn't go buy that domain, but we should go buy commemorative Eclipse t-shirts. Who's with me, everybody? No, just me? Okay. So no emails this week. Cast@commonwritersucks.com if you want to send in an email for next week. So Toby, without further ado, let's jump into discussing some Common Writer, shall we?
Let's.
We're here to talk about Common Writer Gotchard, episode 29. This, of course, is the follow-up episode, the second part of the ghost mystery, the yokai mystery that was set up in Renge's like Nana's hometown, her little home village.
The great
And
evil empire Yakuza subplot thing.
exactly, got to get that piece of land. Got those land sharks coming in hot, you know. And if you recall, the last episode ended on a cliffhanger. We had the village chief come out and scream, saw something, scared him, he screamed. And we opened this episode finding out that the village chief has been rig-
Unconscious.
yeah, I was gonna say rigor mortis. We find him for some reason bottomless, no pants on this man, with his legs sticking straight up in the air and his toe pointing off in one direction. And it is one of the most sexual things I've ever seen on a common writer. is this is this pose just overtly sexual in my head? Very disturbing.
They posted just that's like Toei's site themselves or their Twitter themselves. Posted just the screen grab of his naked legs sticking straight up in the air. I kind of thought it was a goofy, like behind the scenes screw around things they posted a
Uh huh.
couple weeks ago. But no, it was a direct shot right out of this episode, right out,
A
or I
direct
guess right
shot
out of
that
the
they
filming of this episode.
Yeah, a direct shot that they linger on, like, as well. It's not just, like, very quick, and, like, you get to see it a little bit. It is for me, Toby, it's the, like, flex and the splayed toes that makes it so weirdly sexual. Like, I don't like how much muscle is being used in that pose. It's upsetting. It's upsetting to me.
That's good. That's good. Core strength though.
I
could you keep your legs up like that? I know I
God,
can't.
no. Lord, no. This show with this whole episode was, really a smorgasbord of things that I couldn't do. Hold poses for a long time, walk up giant flights of stairs, lots of things that I would never even attempt here on display.
lots of athleticism.
Yeah, exactly. Just not on board. Just not for me. So we find him. The whole town freaks out, and very quickly we find one of the other guys, one of the land sharks rather, who is like tied up like a scarecrow in a field. And we find out that both of them aren't dead; they're just unconscious. That's what Kudo tells us. But nonetheless, Kajiki is launching straight into murder mystery investigation. It has to be one of us, and he blames none other than Starshine Hoshino, the exorcist, uh
Mentor.
his mentor, exactly. Yeah, the person that he's been following around.
I think that I mean, obviously it ties to last week's too. I think having a murder mystery plot or like a weird science fictiony plot works extremely well, and at least it's a fun, different thing to do for these new group of episodes, or at least today's episode again, or
Yeah,
however you want to call it. Like it's basically just like a pure murder mystery of like who did it, who's killing these people, and not really killing them, but hanging them and pointing their body parts directions. And
totally. It's goofy and it's silly, but like not once during this did I think like, man, how are they gonna finish this season out? I mean, who's the next big bad guy gonna be? I was like just engrossed in the nonsense that was going on. So yeah, good job on them for figuring out how to do completely off the beaten path episodes here to kind of uh split the gap between big things that are going on.
I do think
Uh
that blaming the sensei himself was probably the best move overall. Like we find out some other information about down the road, but I mean, that's like seems like the most obvious one because last time it seemed like he was setting all of this up. So now, of course, you would blame the one magic person that hears voices and sees things and everything else.
yep. And
Easy scapegoat.
not to be xenophobic or anything, but you would blame the one new person who just showed up to town, right? Like you'd blame the outsider.
Yeah,
uh,
always the mysterious stranger is the first person that would be.
exactly. I really appreciated here that Kajiki is like trying to very quickly point the finger, and it's like it's Hoshino, it's him, and then he gets thrown into their makeshift prison as well. It's like wait, I wanted to be detective. He tries really hard to make it not him the culprit, but then he also gets thrown into jail, which is pretty great. So at this point, Toby, we decide to split up. Let's see. Renge is gonna go with Hodoro. They're gonna go look around, and Kudo is gonna stay with Nana. There's a sweet little recap scene here, little memory scene where Nana is telling Kudo about Renge growing up, and she was always kind of a scaredy cat. and that she protected her, and they have a sweet little moment when they go back to a young Renge, which I thought was very sweet. The little the tiny little Renge scared of ghosts was very cute for me.
Yeah, the whole part was awesome, and obviously it shows like why she adores her grandmother and why they're basically besties. I think I told a story before, but when I was little, my uncle karate kicked a tree over to make me not scared of Jason anymore. So it's really like the same exact vibe of like, hey, no, ghosts are fine. Watch, I'll just do this and just blast them. I'm never afraid of them again.
Yeah, totally. I had to do that with leprechauns and my daughter, but I didn't kick anything down. I just told her that leprechauns aren't real. So
Well, if you didn't actively destroy one in front of her, she thinks you're full of shit. I can almost
I
guarantee
think
she thinks you're full of shit.
I think she does. Yeah, I think she does. Um, she also determined, just a little side thought, determined that the Easter Bunny is fake all on her own because she was like asking questions about the Easter Bunny. She was like, "Well, how does the Easter Bunny do this?" And we were like, I don't know. How do you think it works?" And she's like, "Well, okay." She's like, how does the Easter Bunny do this?" It's like, "Well, has anyone ever seen the Easter Bunny?" I was like, "No, I don't think so." And she like pauses for a second. She's like, "Is the Easter Bunny real?" And I'm like, no, but it's really fun to pretend." She's like, "Yeah, it
At
is."
least she took it like a
So
champ. That was
she
a.
did. Yeah, she got to the bottom of it, and then she was like, "All right, I'm just gonna pretend then. All right, sounds good." Because listen, if you want to keep the Santa lie going, that's fine. But like having to like also pretend that leprechauns and Easter bunnies are real, Toby, I'm just not that man. I'm not cut out for that.
There's a lot of animals you gotta be watching for. So you might as well
Yeah,
do the
turns
best you
out,
can there.
dude, her teachers at school did a whole like, "Oh my god, a leprechaun has been in our classroom and like made a big mess and stuff." And they thought it was fun. And she came home like legit terrified, kind of like, "Wait, there are leprechauns? We have to catch the leprechaun. Oh, is the leprechaun gonna come into our house?" Like it was like the idea that this like creature that she didn't see came into her classroom and made a giant mess was like obviously terrifying. Because why wouldn't that be terrifying?
Yeah.
Uh so yeah, there's sometimes adults don't think of things through kid lenses. Uh, Anywho, at this point, after we get out of our little flashback, we hear another scream. But at that time, we also find out we have Renge and Hodoro talking, and she talks about she loves this village. She loves her nana. Her nana was always so kind to her, so she's kind of reminiscing at the same time. And Hodoro, like very cutely, declares that this is her gotcha, which I liked a lot. His only way to relate to his fellow students is by figuring out what their gotcha is.
He's a simple man.
He
He has
is.
some
He
simple
is.
ideas, but he's doing the best he can.
Kudo calls him. They hurry back, and this is when they find yet another victim. Here, we'll call him a victim. Another person that is just unconscious, but it is the other land shark, and he's posed again, nearly nude, and he's like pointing. He's on a rock, and he's like propped up all weird, and he's kind of pointing off in a direction.
Yeah, of all the physical feats that were featured today, of people trying to do things, I did laugh because I guess I'll give them credit where they didn't just use fake human statues, but the entire time they showed he basically looks like a surfer, swimmer kind of dude. You can see his arm and his whole body shaking the whole time. So
He's
he definitely just sat.
quivering.
He
Yeah.
definitely just like sat there forever and was like, "Okay, just film the scene, just film the scene." But I was laughing because you could see the statue had a lot of wobbles going.
Yep. And it's like a, quick scene, but it's not like instantaneous. Like if you imagine too, they probably shot it multiple times. Like that poor guy probably had to hold that pose for a long time without moving. Yeah, I appreciate that they didn't just like swap out with a body double or something. It's actually, yeah, hold really still. Okay, perfect, perfect. They realize that finding another body means that Hoshino and Kijiki didn't do it because they've been locked up. So they hurry over to where they locked them up, and they open the shed. But unfortunately, Toby, we find out that they too have been victimized.
Hodoro is
uh,
shaken to the core by his buddy in this weird reverse hug pose thing.
this was one of my favorite parts of the whole episode is how hard Hodoro took the fact that Kajiki was unconscious and in this pose. It was as if his mother had died.
And he was yelling at him, "I haven't done anything for you." And I don't
Yes.
even know what that means because he helped when Jiki was dating the girl at the carnival. We learned
Yeah.
Kudo loves scary things. Like he wingman for him, he did all the things, and I feel like he's always had his back. So it seems like he's done a lot for him so far, to be honest.
I agree. I feel like he's done his fair share. I feel like Kajiki is maybe at times a hard friend to be friends with, and Hodoro has stood by his side all this time, and yeah, he still has serious friend guilt apparently about it. But at this point, Kudo sees the little abyssal sister lurking outside, so she goes to follow her. She walks down a big tunnel, and eventually the sister shows up behind her, and they have another one of their patented talk to each other, nothing really happens scenes here.
Well,
Uh,
my favorite part of this, or my note with this, was it cracks me up that their new thing that every time they talk is basically just devolves to Kudos saying, "No, like you're broken, but it's okay. Like we'll be your friends eventually, or I'll
yeah,
fix you, or we'll take care of this down the road." And then the little baby middle sister just gets pissed and stomps away every time. But
yeah,
it's so good. Like this is their only form of communication now is basically Kudo being a friend and the little abyssal sister just being like, "Oh fuck you," whatever, just walking away.
yeah, yeah. It really is that over and over again. Like this one, it started with like Atropos being like what's your reason for living? Like why do you even why do you even bother living? And then Kudo, yes, is like, shows her a kindness and kind of does the like, oh well, doesn't matter what happened in your past. You can go on, you can have a full life, we'll be friends. And she's like, oh, this is why I hate you.
Yeah,
So
because like
good.
she says, like, "What's in your head?" And Kudo says, "Well, I'm sure you think about your past and whether or not you can have a normal life, but I think we can help you. I think we can help you do that." And the little sister says, "I abhor you." And just
Yeah.
stomps off.
That's so good. I assume that yes, the sister is actually like following her around now at this point because she is having second thoughts about about this whole Garian situation and her lot in life and all that jazz. But it's the scenes are great. I really like them. Next up we see the I guess the monster for this episode, the Malgam. It is a
It's
kitsune
Geets.
fox. It's Geets exactly. Um, I gotta say, this Malgam creeped me out this episode too, because it shows up here with Kudo, and it just like gets up in her face and doesn't really do anything. Um,
He has a
like
cool
at first,
spooky, floaty vibe. Where just like he doesn't really like dodge. Like he dodges everything, but he doesn't like. It's not like jumping and like that diving around and dashing around. Just kind of like floats and like
yeah,
spins and goes wee and just kind of like is screwing around.
and the whole time it has this like low giggle that it's doing, like as it's fighting, as it's moving around, it's just going like, and it's unnerving. I really, really didn't like it. It made me feel weird. uh, Like, I mean, it was well done. It definitely like made me feel very off. Um, but Hodoro shows up and he henshins to fight it, to attempt to fight it. And he realizes, I think, at this point that it's different as well. It's not quite the Malgam that he expects it to be. But it runs off, and Renge thinks she knows where it might have come from because she started comparing all of the all the unconscious bodies. They were all pointing, and she's found that they're pointing in one direction, which is up the staircase. The scene of them hiking up the staircase was really great as they are all like complaining about the stairs. Hodoro is like, "We could just ride on 10 later. Do you guys want to do that? Let's do it." Kudo's like, "No, no, I don't. We'll not do that. I'll feel bad."
Yeah, and like
Uh,
I don't understand I don't understand why they were so gung ho against it. Because Kudo just says like, no chemis for this. I don't understand why it matters.
I think I took it as more of like a it'll feel like giving up type of thing, but I'm not sure. Maybe there is something else going on, but Hodoro really wanted just to drive up these stairs in a train, and I can appreciate that.
And the highlight
Uh,
was on the signpost next to where they were hiking. It says, "Watch out for snakes," and that's the realest shit ever when you're in the woods.
oh, I didn't even notice that. That's awesome. Yeah, that's why I don't go in the woods. Cause snakes. Uh, terrifying, terrifying.
when times I go hiking in the woods, whether it's mountains, regular dirt paths, whatever, I actually I can't make myself look forward where I'm walking. I have to just stare down at the ground because I'm so terrified of snakes. But my snake spotting uh count, I guess we'll call it, or my odds percentage of finding the snakes, I've never missed one. I see them all the time. I run away from them. I jump over them. I point them out. But I've spotted so many that way in these scary situations that it feels good that I'm broken inside and notice them
Nice.
all. But yeah,
I'm gonna go in the woods with you then, I guess, because so I
you just can't
I
push me.
used
I'll go in front, but I just have to stare at the ground the whole time. I like real weird,
okay, yeah.
probably.
No, I'm with you because I will be staring at the ground too, or I'll be staring at the trees because this is a real admission of something here, Toby. Um,
Just drop snakes.
yeah, so I used to go mushroom hunting with my grandpa mostly. Like my whole family used to like we were very country. If you're not from the country and you don't know about this, mushrooms grow wild out in the forest, and there's a certain kind that you can eat. Um, and they're not amazing, but it's an activity to go do. Some people like them to eat a lot, but I never loved eating them that much. But you go out and you hunt them in the woods. So I would go out with my grandpa and I'd hunt them. He loved mushroom hunting, and I hated snakes. and 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 mostly as a kid, I was terrified for some reason. It must have been like a show I saw or a movie I saw or something. But I was not just scared of snakes. I was scared of the concept of snakes in trees, like hanging from trees and falling on my head, just as you said, drop snakes. So they used to laugh at me so much because we'd be out in the woods supposedly hunting mushrooms which are on the ground, and I would be staring at the trees that were walking under. just,
I feel like
just
that's a good team. That's a good team up though. I feel like we have
yeah.
all directions covered at that point.
I know. Me and you in the woods, we are infallible. No snake from any direction is getting by us. Yeah, I don't it's not that much of a phobia anymore, the snakes and trees, but like it still is a little scary to me. And a snake in a tree is scarier than a snake on the ground for me for some reason. So I would not want to hike through this. Would not want to hike up to the shrine, is what I'm saying.
I would call 10 liner, or I would tell them I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, me and Ten Liner will be at the top. We'll see you guys when you get up there. When they do make it to the top, they find Nana, of course. Um, when Nana walked up, I thought for a moment that she was going to be the killer, that she was going to be the person.
That would have been a good swerve for sure. Or if we want to call it a swerve, I guess, but that would have been a good final thing of I've been a ghost all along or some dumb bullshit like that.
Yeah, it would have been amazing. But no, she just went up there to pray, and she gives like a little history, like, "Oh yeah, it's the Kitsune, and people haven't been praying quite as much lately." And then the Fox Amalgam shows back up. Um, Hodoro henshins to fight it once again, and right at the beginning of this fight, the Fox encases Kudo, Renge, and Nana in this like black sphere of kind of like I don't know, like smoke sort of. It's like a little malleable, but you can't really see through it or interact with anyone through it. But yeah, they're encased in this like bubble basically. And while they're in that bubble, there is what is kind of legit terrifying. This like eye appears.
It's just a
Um
giant eye staring at all of them.
yeah, it's got like a little bit of like a jagged mouth underneath it, but it's mostly just eyeball. And it like keeps getting closer and closer. Kudo first just thinks she's gonna hench in and she's going to protect them, Well, it turns out, she hasn't recovered her powers yet because that always happens when she needs them the most, is that she's out of her powers. We cut back outside for a little bit. Hodoro is fighting the the kitsune, and again, the Malgam is like not behaving like most Malgams are. Like you said, it's very floaty. It is pretty powerful, and Hodoro like a couple times is like what do you want? What's different about you? But he uses a bunch of chemis, and he finally is fighting the Malgam back, and he's doing okay. But then we cut back inside the smoke, Toby, and since Kudo her work didn't work out, well now Nana steps forward. She says, "Listen, I'm gonna tell this ghost to go away," and she says, "Ghost, be
I
gone."
I used to scream at a sheet to save Renge, and I will scream at the eye now.
It's totally boomer logic that I used to scream at fake ghosts, so now that there's a real one here, I'm sure I've got this. I know exactly how this works. Uh Obviously it doesn't work. But that gives Renge just enough confidence boost to step forward herself. She transforms into her school clothes, her alchemy clothes, and she is going to fight back against the ghost, against the yokai that she's facing. So she calls upon her chemis, the ones that she now has around her neck because she took Hoshino's necklace. And yeah, she basically gets them all in cards, and then like uses them to kind of break out of the bubble.
To
Because guess
blast
what?
the eye.
This is her gotcha, Toby. I was glad she kind of got to save the day a little bit there. That was nice. That needed to happen for sure in these episodes. As soon as they're out, Renge tosses those cards over to Hodoro. He uses them. He kind of swipes them all at once, and he makes a giant star. And he uses that to deliver his big final blow over to the Kitsune Amalgam. Right before he kind of does the final blow, the Amalgam sort of like walks over towards the wall and like turns around, and then Hodoro's like, "What are you saying? Oh, you want me to do it?" So
You
like
want me to kill
like
you?
the yeah, the fox was like asking for it basically. So Hodoro, hits him, wall breaks open, and they realize at the same time the wall breaks open that the fox reappears in the little shrine. So they realize that the nine-tail Kemi, which Hodoro gotchas here, wasn't possessing a person, but was instead possessing the actual Kitsune statue in the shrine. And they're like, it can do that? Like, I don't know. You guys are just making up the rules as we go along. It can do anything. uh, and as they're discussing that, Toby, a hot spring bursts out of the mountain.
The
And
mouth of hell has been opened.
exactly. They reference the prophecy that Hoshino had spouted earlier, where he talks about, like you said, the door to hell. And they're like, I don't know, hot spring's kind of hot. Hell's hot. Maybe that's what he was talking about. I love the the grasping for straws here. But yeah, it turns out that this is what they think. This is what the Nine Tail Kemi and the Kitsune Spirit had been working towards the whole time. Wanted everyone to find the hot spring because, of course, a hot spring is going to be a tourist attraction. People are going to come from all over to come visit the hot springs. The village is going to thrive now, Toby.
They're saved. All the tourism's gonna come floating in. At one point, Nana says the land sharks are scared of our village now. So, in spite of all the tourism coming in and making it a more popular place for the land sharks to want to buy and sell and tear down, uh, somehow the fear of the ghosts will somehow drive away these profits, or profits
I'm glad
unrealized.
I'm glad that line stuck out to you too, because that clearly was a loophole they realized like pretty late into the production of this episode. They're like, wait, wouldn't the land sharks just want it even more now? And they had to like add that line in to explain why not. And yeah, that felt very forced and it was hilarious. So now Nana can run an onsen and can have all of the wonderful Americans show up and get naked, sit in her wooden bath, and it'll be great. She's gonna
uh,
love it.
scro- Scrolling through the ending now, like the last final scenes here, I noticed Minato in the background shot of a couple of these shots. and just clicked to me that he's really been in none of these episodes in spite of being in these episodes, I guess.
Yeah,
Like
at the end of this,
he was like no part of any of these. He didn't go on the mission with them. He didn't go to the top of the mountain with them. But I even forgot he was there until I just noticed this. I was kind of hoping it was a shooting mistake, but I'm sure it's not.
no, I think he showed up at the very end because they have like a conversation where she's like, "Oh, professor, thanks for coming. Like, I'm sorry I dragged you all the way out here." And he's like, "No, you caught like 7 chemis. This is great." Um, and then I think he only showed up at the end so he could wipe some memories
Oh,
because
that's fair. That's true.
they have a conversation with Nana where she's like, "Nana, do you remember?" And Nana's like, "Remember what?" And she's like, "I don't worry about it." So I think he showed up so he could wipe the town's memories, so they wouldn't know chemis are real.
That's very wise.
But they didn't want us to feel bad about it, so they didn't show us the Men in Black scene, I guess. But yeah, it was a really, really Minato light episode arc for sure. But I like they dragged him out at the very end. He was like, "Oh, great, you guys are catching chemis right and left. Keep up the good work. A plus, students. A plus."
We're doing stuff. We're doing stuff.
We also find out here in the ending scenes that Hoshino and Kajiki are going to set off on being occult detectives now. That's their current plan, which I find funny. I hope they show up again. And I really loved that Hodoro is like, "Will Kajiki be okay? I just hope he doesn't go weird."
Will it be some weird thing now where since his best buddy is an occult hunter, I guess we'll call him, and since the show seems to be kind of aimless at the moment, I wonder if this is going to be Gotchard for a while, where it just keeps kind of tying to this weird side arc of, hey, we're going to run around and just do random things while the little
Maybe.
abyssal sister just shows up for 2 minutes to remind everybody she's still here. And
I could see them getting like, 2 to 4 more episodes out of that. Yeah. The next arc and maybe the next one.
it might be a little too. I mean, this wrapped up nicely. It was a fun little side thing.
Yeah, I
Uh,
liked it.
I don't want this aimlessness the rest of the time. I guess we'll
I
call
th-
it.
like I said, I think we might do this one or two more times, and then they'll have to set things up for the final, the final sprint to the finish line here.
Yes,
But
true.
I don't think it'll be like it'll be forever. It's just a little bit of a calm before the storm, I think. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, like, yeah, it isn't as serious, I guess, as some of Gotchard had become. Like Gotchard started off like very, fancy free and not serious, and then it got pretty serious and got very, very good. Uh, very, very drama filled, I guess I should say. And now we're back to kind of some of the goofy stuff, but it's fun. I'm liking it. I don't know if like universal opinion will be that they liked all of this, but it was a fun little diversion for me these 2 episodes. So
If nothing else,
I,
like I feel like when they called for the reset of like, hey, it's a new season again, and if people were all hyped about it, got a little more actiony drama ish the past couple episodes before these last two. I think they're definitely swerving the wrong direction at this point to keep that crowd. But
yeah. But maybe the crowd's like locked in at this point. Like, why would I quit now? It's so close to the end. I don't know, but yeah, I agree. It's back to more the beginning, and it's the stuff that the people didn't seem to like initially. But I don't know. The characters and stuff more now too. So like, I'm more willing to go on ridiculous adventures with characters that I love than with characters that you haven't really fleshed out yet. If that makes sense.
yeah,
So I don't know. Maybe I'm giving it more leeway than I would have at the beginning too. All right, folks. Well, that is going to wrap up episode 29, I think, for our discussion. Toby, where can the people find you on the internet?
on Twitter you can find me at Life of Tobes, and on YouTube you can find me at Tobes Plays. Where now officially Resident Evil 5 has started for the
It
playthrough.
it has begun. You can find me on Twitter and I don't know, Threads, wherever else, at Pretty Decent Josh. You can find me on Blue Sky at meek.lol, and you can find me on YouTube at Pretty Decent. And you can find Toby and I on Patreon. We'd love it if you checked out our Patreon. That is just chock full of bonus content. Excuse me. It was so full of bonus content, it made me cough right there. For $1 a month, you can get in our Discord, or for $3 a month, you can get in our Discord and get all of our bonus content. We watch both the Boomger Super Sentai episode of the week every week and react to it, and you get to watch that along with us. And we also are watching through Kamen Rider X-Aid right now. So you get an episode of X-Aid every week too. It's kind of like Mystery Science Theater, but for tokusatsu. It's a lot of fun. We love doing it. And you get to watch along with us on those things. And for $3 a month, it is the best value in tokusatsu. Just ask anyone who signed up. They would agree. They're all talking right behind me now. They don't have mics, but they're waving, they're clapping. If I had a camera, you'd see it.
Yeah.
So check that out.
Really, like, where else could you do fun tokusatsu things for only $1 to $3 a month? Like, probably nowhere.
Nowhere. Literally nowhere. Nowhere.
Nowhere.
So check that out. Patreon.com/thecommentwriters. Once again, patreon.com/thecommentwriters. And also link is down in the description if you would like to go straight to that. But that is going to do it for us. We hope you do check out the Patreon. We hope you send us an email as well, cast@commonwritersucks.com. And we will be back next time to see what goes on in the world of Hodoro, to see what adventure we're off on for the next 2 episodes. But until then, have a great week, everybody. Peace.